And we are live. Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle Grigsby, and I am so thrilled that you're here. I want to welcome you to another free training of offering you pure value. And I am just really, really, really excited for the training that we have for you today, because we've been teaching you a lot of concepts in regards to how to build your business online by branding yourself.
And we are live.
I did it again. Sorry. By how to brand yourself. We're teaching you concepts on how to brand yourself on Facebook. We're going to be getting into video marketing, other social media, blogging, all that. But the thing I want to address with you today, guys, is we also need to work on our mindset. And it is so important to do that, because I think that there are some things that might hold us back. And I'm just really, really excited to share this with you, because, guys, this is one of the core concepts that you need to address in regards to having a successful business. And so this is something that I think is dear to my heart, because this is something that I know that I can relate to, and I know that every one of you that is watching this training right now can relate to as well. And before we get to that, though, I really quickly want to tell you who I am. My name is Michelle Grigsby. I'm from Kansas City. I've been doing internet marketing for about 3 years, full-time for a full year now, and I have learned so much through this journey. And I am just so excited to share with you everything that I know. And along those lines, I've affiliated or aligned myself with an awesome company called the Legends Network, because what I love about the Legends Network is I'm able to tap into the minds of some of the greats in regards to internet marketing and network marketing. And as a result, I have learned so much on how to continue to build my business. And as a result of that, guys, I've been able to attract and find some really wonderful people to work with. And so if you are not at the level of success that you are at, or you want to be, we welcome you with open arms. We definitely would like for you to at least consider taking a look at the Legends Network. It can help take your primary business not to the next level, but literally the next stratosphere, based on all of the trainings that we have for you, all the tools that we have to help you take your business to the next level, especially with this training today that we have for you included. So, but with that, really quickly, I want to introduce you to some of our panel members who are rock star leaders with our company. And the first person I want to introduce you to is Laura McCarthy. Hey, Laura, you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Laura McCarthy, and I've been in network marketing, internet marketing for 2 years, and just full-time for the last about 6 months, because I just retired from the Army. And I tell you what, I've done everything from nutrition companies to, I've been in just about every niche when I was trying to find my fit. But once I got in with the Legends Network, it's really helped me to stay focused and learn and grow and do the right things, and it will help anybody with whatever niche you're in. There's people from every single company you could imagine out there, online, offline, direct sales, internet marketing, network marketing, and we love our team here, and we love to get together and discuss and talk and go through what we're having, trials and errors, and it's just a wonderful experience, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
And that's important. You have to enjoy what you do, right? Awesome. Okay, Jeff, how are you? Jeff from Pennsylvania.
I'm doing good. I'm Jeff from Central PA. I've been involved with internet marketing for a couple of years now. Part-time, just recently came full-time, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. Everybody's out there digging around for that magic button. The magic button's behind the scenes in these little groups that we have. So if you want to see yourself exceed, you need to get in these groups, and you'll move on. I promise you.
Awesome.
Get a pencil and paper, so take some notes.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Jeff. And Donna, Rockstar Donna, how are you?
Hey, I'm great, Michelle. Thanks, everybody. We are so looking forward to this training today because, you know, all of us, we get so caught up in the everyday kind of little things that we get in our comfort zones very, very easy. And so I'm really excited about this because this group and the group of people that we're working for, we are ready to explode. And so if you're ready to take your business to the next level, then come and join us. We're here for you. We are doing nothing but training and giving you great value. Michelle is an awesome leader, and she is always just encouraging us and pushing us along so that we can reach the goals that we set for ourselves. So I'm looking forward to today.
Awesome, Donna, and you know, I love what everybody had to say, because you know, I am what makes me feel fulfilled is when I see people succeed. And you know, one thing I can say about the three of you, Laura, Jeff, and Donna, you are taking the initiative. You're starting your own trainings, which is fantastic. I commend you for that. And Laura, you are already doing trainings. You're being utilized with Rex's trainings as well as the trainings that you do for us here. And Jeff, you totally have stepped out of your comfort zone, and you're doing these videos. All three of you are doing the 90 Days of Truth videos, and I know that Teresa was watching me doing my videos, and she's just such a sweetheart, because she's told me that she's seen how I've grown so much from when I first started doing my 90 Days of Truth videos. There's something about doing those videos where it literally, that's just one component that kind of forces you to dig deeper into yourself, and you're able to, by expressing that and also putting yourself out there and doing it in video, it just does something in regards to expanding your bubble. And really quickly, I want to tell you a little bit about Teresa, because you know, Val Smith is one of our leaders, and he is really well known for saying it's not who you know, it's not what you know, but who you know. And I have been truly blessed to have Teresa come into my life, because I really truly believe that we attract like-minded people based on what we put out there. And just to tell you a little bit about Teresa, Teresa is a self-mastery coach. And what she does is she will teach you how to get out of your own way. And what does that mean? Well, she's going to teach you how to build your resilience. She's going to also talk to us about how to face your fears, especially if you're afraid to face them on your own. And I hope I said that all right, Teresa, because did that sound okay?
Perfect. Mwah.
I would like to introduce Teresa French to you.
Oh, don't make me get out the glasses. And the pirate hat. Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for that introduction. And I truly, truly agree with Michelle. It is an absolute blessing. We're going on about a year now of knowing each other, literally a meeting through Facebook, and just continuing to collaborate and continuing to stay in touch with one another. And I'm honored that you'd have me on your training today. And I just want to thank you for this opportunity, as well as to, you know, I want to sew into your group. I think you are following a fantastic leader, and this woman will help you take you to the next level. She's got the energy, the enthusiasm, and the intelligence to do it. So it's fantastic to be here with you today, and I'm really, truly honored. Oh, so yeah.
Thank you. All right. So what do you want to do?
I have one question. We're going to start this. We're going to get right to it. And for the panel members who are able to speak, I would like you to respond. And for those of you who are listening, I would like you to take out a piece of paper and then grab a pen or a pencil, whatever your writing preference is. And I would like you to grab that and answer this one question. And I want you to articulate it very clearly and succinctly. What are you afraid of? What is your biggest fear? And maybe it's not even your biggest. Maybe it's a smaller fear that is holding you back from something. What is it? And on the call, I'm actually going to press in on our panel's members and have you actually verbalize it on the call, if you would, please. Oh, so Michelle, I'm going to let you let them come forward. There is nothing better than baptism by fire. And right now, in this very moment, all three of you are feeling the adrenaline running that fear causes, right? Would you agree?
Oh, yes.
I just called you all out. So go with that and do it anyway. Who'd like to start?
Okay. I've been reluctant to get on the phone and make calls, but I know I can do it. I've done it before. I worked at a bonsai nursery. I sold bonsai trees over the phone, but that's been years ago.
Okay, so for you, it's getting on the phone and making calls to people. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Who else wants to go next?
I guess I would say, for me, it's just making a mistake and not knowing exactly what to do. And even though I know all this stuff, but it's like at that specific moment, what if I don't know? So that's a fear that just holds you back.
Okay.
For me, the biggest thing is, just failing completely, like not making any of this work. Like, as hard as I try, and I'm always just afraid that it's just not going to work altogether.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, Michelle.
Well, I think, the first thought that keeps coming to my mind, because I'm addressing this on a daily basis, is I'm afraid of what people will think of me. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, I don't know if that's my biggest fear, but that just keeps coming to my mind because of that. I think it forces me to step out of my comfort zone because I know that is a fear that I have. So I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you mine, and it's still with me, and it's never left, and I don't think it's ever gonna leave. I've just learned how to cohabitate with it, and that's what I teach my clients, is how to cohabitate with their fears. My biggest fear is not being found credible, being found to be a fraud, being found to not really know what I know that is true and the knowledge that I have, and being found out or being called out that, well, you don't know as much as you think you do. So at the root of all of that, from not wanting to make phone calls, from failing, from getting it wrong as if there were a right, as if there's only one path, as if there's only one rule, that somehow you'll do something that's not in line with that one rule, that's a lie. Not wanting to make phone calls and worried about what people think, Michelle, 100%, are we enough? Are we adequate, and are we enough? That's our own internal question that we have to wrestle with every single day. And I will tell you, as sure as I'm sitting here right now, every single one on this training today is enough. You are adequate. You are more than adequate. And there is no one path. There is no one way to do things. Every one of us brings our own unique thumbprint. There is a reason none of our fingerprints match. There's a reason God made us. We are 1 in 400 trillion of a chance that we were created. If you think about the process of life and creation, we are 1 in 4 trillion. That the chances that the chemistry that came together to create what we know to be us is unique, which means everything that comes from us is unique. So there is no one platform, there is no one message, there is no one way. We all have to go forward boldly with our own story and be unapologetic about who we are. And that's a tall order. That's not something that comes just from one training here today or even a 12-month coaching session. What that comes from is an absolute insatiable appetite to continue looking at what motivates us. And fear is at the base of all of it for all of us. And so every single one on this call, including the 3 panelists, that adrenaline you felt, that little, oh my gosh, she just called me out, I have to speak about this, oh boy, I was not ready for this. That is magic. And when you get addicted to that, when you get to a point where you can say, bring it on, I want to feel that feeling, you have arrived at a place that you will go boldly into the world without apology, and you will take on anything. And that requires resilience and requires the ability to say, I'm not afraid of fear. Oftentimes, so many people are afraid of fear that somehow we protect ourselves from feeling that adrenaline. And it is a part of our physiological, biological makeup. And so our brain is very, very unique in its ability to take, I mean, the parts of that, I won't go all scientific on you because I think I'm just going to keep this really in your face and really relevant and really very simple. Our brain is amazing. And it has parts of it that takes our past experiences and it says, it catalogs them like a library and says, this happened, and when I said that, this happened. And while consciously we have no recall of those things, our subconscious has cataloged every single one of them, clear back from the day we were born. So the interactions that we've had with our parents and the people we grew up with grade school and the people we grew up with in high school and college and all, I mean, I'm 43, going to be 43 in September, and trust me, I've had 43 years of experience of trial and error, and things didn't work out so well, and some things did. And in my subconscious, every single one of those things are cataloged. So when I come up against something in the present, in the now, in the right now, without even knowing it, my brain is already comparing it to everything else I think I know and saying, oop, danger, don't go any further, you're going to get hurt over this one. If you go too far out, people are going to call you too bold. People are going to say that you're being arrogant. People are going to say that you're self-absorbed and you're selfish. And all of those are really bad traits. We don't want those traits, right? We don't want to be seen that way. But in the end of the day, those are the things that bring us into the world. And if we have a mission, to change lives and impact lives in whatever way, if you are running an MLM, you want to build a team because you want to impact the lives financially and emotionally of the people that come into your team. That's your mission. And so what would stop you from that? What will you let stop you from that? So at the base of all of this is literally fear, and you have to cohabitate. I know there are some people who will tell you that you have to hush the brain bullies. I call them brain bullies, by the way. They're not gremlins. Gremlins to me are fictitious, not real, and we can kind of discount them as if they don't really exist. That is the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life. Just coming straight at you, because fear is real. Just like I just said, that physiological feeling that we get, you cannot suppress that or eliminate that. It is a part of how we are going to live, and in all the things that we do and go forward in, we need to be ready to face that. So we have to cohabitate with it and say, okay. And one of the conversations I recently had with a client, I said, you know what, just walk up to it, tickle its little belly and say, yeah, I see you, fear. I see you. You're right there in my world. I get it. But you know what? You're not going to stop me because I have things to do. I have a mission to accomplish, and I have things that I need to sow into this world, and I'm going to feel the fear and do it anyway. That's Susan Jeffries from the 80s, her book, not my quote. However, it couldn't be more true. I'm going to feel it, I'm going to recognize it, and I'm still going to walk forward. I'm going to do it. So, you know, I could go on and on, but Michelle, we had talked about maybe this being a little bit of a conversation. So if there are some questions, you know, Michelle and I have had some fabulous conversations that really should have been recorded. So we have great feedback off from one another, and I want to make sure that I've included the panel members as well. So I would love to field questions, or let's talk about this a little bit and have an exchange, so the people who are on the call that are not necessarily a panel member can maybe hear from other perspectives and not just me talking at you, but rather an exchange of let's address a couple of things specifically, and let's get really, really molecular about it and kind of dig into something. So does that sound fair to you, Michelle?
Absolutely, absolutely. I noticed that you made a comment about you said something about learning how to embrace that feeling you get whenever we were put on the spot. You know, it's like learn how to embrace that feeling, like enjoy it.
Enjoy it. You know, we eat sometimes because the food tastes so good. The senses that we have that allows us to taste our favorite food, that's a sense that we really enjoy it. But when we get full, when we eat too much of it, we get kind of miserable, right? But it doesn't stop us from eating that food, right? We continue to eat it. So many people jump out of airplanes just for the fun of it. No, I don't know that I'm ready to do that today, but I don't know that it's a fear either. I think it's more like calculated risk. I want to be careful. I want to make sure I've got stuff in line to get that done. But there are those senses that in the now that we come across. Things come up in our daily lives, and I think that awareness is the fuel that powers change. So if you can become aware of those moments, like for instance, when you're picking up the phone or you're not picking up the phone because you're thinking, I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know if I'm going to say the quote-unquote right thing. I don't know if I'm going to book this. Come up with a different reason why you're picking up the phone. And for sometimes sometimes it requires just getting really basic. I have 10 calls I have to make today. I'm going to power through them, and I don't care what the outcome is. I'm just going to go through the motions of picking up the phone. And much to Michelle's point, the 90 days of truth are probably less about what you're sharing than it is about the habit-forming function of picking up the video camera, looking into it, and being as silly or as serious as you want, and doing it every single day without fail. You are sharing. People are getting to know you. You're building that know, like, trust factor. People are getting to know you intimately. But there's also that habit-forming, get over the newness kind of function that the 90 Days of Truth allows you to experience. And so the same thing would go for phone calls. Just picking up the phone and getting your spiel down, getting your introduction down, getting that verbiage, that language that says, I have something to offer, and here's the value for you, that in and of itself is enough to propel you into the next few calls. And then when you have success, you have bookings, you have parties you're getting on the books, that only fuels you even further. And the biggest recommendation I would give for anyone making phone calls, try whenever possible to end the day on a yes. Don't stop calling until you get a yes. Now, time permitting, of course. If you've gone 50 hours in a row, 2 days, and you haven't slept and eaten, that might be a time to stop. But at the end of the day, end your day on a yes so you can go into the next day with that motivation. So, because the fear comes from that newness. Nobody likes being the freshman. Did any of us like going to high school as a freshman or having to start over in college as the freshman? Why? Because we felt that we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't want to look dumb. We didn't want to look like and make an idiot out of ourselves, right? We want to know what we're talking about. And especially as public people, those of us here who are sharing with the world and leading teams and being in the public eye, we don't want anybody to see us fall and flub up. And so one of the other concerns, speaking of falling and flubbing up, one of the other questions was fear of failing. And let me tell you, I am a product of the afterlife after failing. And failing is actually an opportunity. And I don't know how many of you have ever looked at, has any of you looked at failing as an opportunity? Any of our panel members?
Not when you're going through it, but afterwards, hindsight.
I see lots of inspirational images that say that.
Well, you know, if I look at it as like as a failure, as a mistake, then yeah, you learn from your mistakes. It's just, you know, the things that I deal with is like, you know, ridicule from like family members and stuff saying like network marketing isn't going to work, you're going to fail. And I always have that in the back of my mind, and trying to get over that is like probably my biggest thing that I have every single day in the back of my head.
So for the people who are naysayers, because we all have them and we're going to have them and they're never going to go away, kind of like our fears, we got to learn how to cohabitate with them. We certainly can't cut off our relationships with people we love just because they don't get our vision. The problem is there is a selection of people in the world who never see the potential in others because they're not willing to seize the opportunity themselves. And I'm not calling them lazy, I'm calling them visionless. They don't see the vision, they don't get it. And so for us, we need to not gather evidence why we'll fail, because that's all that is evidence to prove those brain bullies in your head true. Because you have those brain bullies in your head. The reason you're hearing it from your family is because it's echoing, and so they're checking it, that they're confirming it for you. And whether you've thought it or not recently, consciously or unconsciously, it's kind of like when you buy a purple car, all of a sudden you see every other purple car on the road. It's your reticular activator going to work, right? So if you already think, this isn't going to work, I don't know how this is going to, oh man, I don't know how I'm going to get all my team built, I don't know how I'm going to sell these products, I don't know what I'm going to do, and suddenly you hear someone say, it ain't going to work, network marketing is all washed up, bam, you just got confirmed. And so in that head, as best you can, change the question, why wouldn't it work? Of course it's going to work. Of course it's going to work. It's going to work to the level you want it to work. You're going to define your success. If you want to have a team of 500 people or 5 people, you're going to work to that goal. So let yourself believe that it's possible, that it is true. And then when those people outside of you say, it's not going to work, you can say, it's your opinion. I know what I'm doing. I'm good. Thank you, though, for your input. I appreciate it. And then you walk on. And you get on with whatever you got to get on. And the best way my best way, and I know that there are many, what I have found most productive for me, when I am sitting in my office crying because I just have no idea how this is going to happen or how it's going to come together, I take action. I have to just do something, even if it's a phone call. Maybe it's not 10 calls for that day, but it's a phone call. And I make that phone call the focus of all of my energy. Maybe it's an email to someone that I wouldn't normally email. So I'm a speaker, and my goal is to get out on a platform in front of the world, as many people as will listen to me. And when sometimes I'll see calls for speakers, or I'll see article submissions in magazines that, why would they want to hear my story, right? Those are the brain bullies that run through the head. My story's not unique. That is a lie, and I've identified it. Awareness is the fuel that powers change. I know it, I see it, I call it out, and I say, why not? And I have found myself in more than one occasion over the last couple of years submitting, and I giggle because I get really bold about it anymore. I'll get on, I'll put my pitch down, and half the time the pitch, the program isn't even created yet. It's just a concept in my head. But if I can get somebody to bite on it, then I'll create it, right? So let demand generate the action. And so I'll get on and I'll just type up, here's my concept, and I'll hit send before I even have a chance to question it. I go right into action. And yes, I have the adrenaline, and I have but what if they don't like it? What if they don't take it? Am I any more of a loss? Because if I don't send it, it's an automatic no. If I send it, I have a chance. And if they take it, I got to get busy, which is going to only combat the fear, because now I have credibility, I'm moving forward. And so many of my speaking engagements have been a result of that, of just simply stepping out and saying, why not me? Why not my success? Is there any reason why I wouldn't be successful? So when you're talking with people, for anyone who is here on the call, network marketing, unfortunately, because so many times you're told, check with your warm market first. Check with your family and friends. And if you've been in more than one MLM, you've been through this a couple of times. And unfortunately, I know that in my case, because I have done MLM myself, my family rolls their eyes and says, oh, what are you doing now? Well, does that mean that I failed at everything else? No. I strategically quit. It wasn't the right opportunity for me. And only I get to determine that. So if you're in multiple MLMs and you've been doing this a couple of different times, it's okay. They don't get the vision. Give them grace, give them space, and let them not get the vision. Because when you're successful, they'll be your biggest supporters, and that day will come. So I hope that helps a little bit. The naysayers are going to come. They're going to be a part of your world, unfortunately. You just have to stay focused on what you know to be true. Live your own truth. Don't live someone else's truth. Live your own expectations and exceptions, not theirs.
Awesome, Teresa. Oh my gosh. I have heard on several occasions where people will say, you know, I can never do what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately it's like, you just closed the door right there. And I want to say, are you kidding me? You know, you have to start somewhere. And what I decided a while back was I just decided that I was going to just take a concept and master it. And so what is it that you might suggest to somebody that is saying that right now, where they're saying, I can never do what you do? I mean, what would you recommend?
Thank goodness. Thank goodness we can't do what each other does, because we wouldn't be unique anymore, right? I mean, thank goodness I can't deliver a training like Michelle does. Thank goodness she can't get on a stage and motivate people and talk to people like I can, because those are both our differentiating factors. You don't want to do it the way someone else does it. But what they're doing, the function of it, the building of a team, the getting on the phone, the doing the follow-ups, doing the network, putting your feet in motion, everyone can do that. If you say that you can or you can't, you're right. The bottom line is, if you say you can, you will. And if you say you can't, you won't. It is literally that simple. And I don't know that there's much more explanation to that other than you've got to move your feet in your personal truth direction. So if your heart is for a weight loss product and you love this product and you love the company, find out what the mission is behind that. Let that be your motivator. Maybe you aren't going to, in the immediate, build a team of 500 people overnight. So, and the other thing I would say, I think just came to mind, get really critical over the outsides of others. We oftentimes, all too often, compare our insides to the outsides of other people. And what they show on the outside is rarely what's going on below the surface and behind the scenes. I can guarantee you. Some of the most famous people in the world who look like they have it all together are miserable. So we have to, that's where it comes from, living our own truth, knowing what our direction is, knowing what we bring to the world, knowing the way that only we can bring it. Only I can talk about this stuff the way I talk about it, with my inflections of voice, my busy hands, my getting in your face. All of that is just part of who I am. You will talk to your team the way you talk to your team. You will build them. You will educate them on the things that you probably found hard when you got started. You're going to bring education around them to support them in a way that's going to reflect your journey. Be okay with that. Don't want to do it like Michelle did it. Don't do it like Tony Robbins. Would I love to be like Tony Robbins? Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. But boy, I don't think I want to be that tall or have that big of hands. So, you know, at the end of the day, what is he doing that I want to do? What is it about Tony Robbins? So get really curious about what it is you're wanting to emulate to. Is it the functions of what someone else is doing? Or is it, in fact, the delivery of the content and the impact that they're having? So you take the biggest MLMer in the world. Is it the money they make, or is it what they're sewing into the world that you want to emulate? If it's the money, that's great, but I might have you get a little more, go a little further inside and find out your mission of how you can sew into the world in a great way that has less to do with money. That's not to say that wealth and abundance is not wonderful, but it can't be your leading factor. It can't be the reason you're doing what you're doing, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. However, if the outcome, if it's a weight loss product and you want people to lose weight, if it's a marketing product, you want to teach them how to market their business and become better than what they are today. If it is a phone card that they can use, or travel that they can get out and have wonderful vacations for less money, whatever the product is, what is the outcome and the impact on the people that you're selling it to? And so those are the things you emulate. The impact is what you should be emulating. You want to bring whatever you have, all the gifts, all the knowledge, all the expertise, all of the enthusiasm, support, and empathy that you have for people, bring that to the forefront, and you will have that impact regardless of what product you represent, if that's your mission. So when you talk about, I can't do what you do, you're right. Not like you do it, but I can have a similar impact because I have a different set of gifts and skills. Does that make sense? Did I talk in circles there?
No, that totally made sense. Something that you said that really impacted me was think about what your product is that you're marketing. You know, I mean, with us guys, you know, with our product is what? To help others take their business to the next level, right?
Right.
And it is kind of a mindset product where it's about mindset, and it's giving you skills and tools and tips and tricks, but basically it boils down to mindset by helping people improve their situation in regards to their business, no matter what business they're in. And so, yeah.
And if you take that, go one step further with that. So you're going to help them take them to the next level, but envision, like really visualize what that means to one person that's on this call. And for any of you who are on this call, who are building teams, what does it mean to go to the next level? Articulate that. Get really specific about that. Start seeing the looks on their faces when they win. Start feeling the emotion they feel when they have overcome that inertia of having to make phone calls or having to go to 10 home parties this week, and I'm exhausted, but I feel so good because I have $5,000 in the bank that I didn't have at the beginning of the week. What is the feeling attached to those accomplishments? When you start visualizing the outcomes of the people that you're mentoring, it will motivate you even more. That's the mission, right? The mission is not to sell an educational product. The goal is not to put shake stuff in somebody's cup to have them drink. It's to have them lose weight and feel empowered in their life because they're accomplishing their goals. You, as a leader, are going to take people into those places they didn't think were possible. Just as you are all sitting on this call today, things are not possible. I can't do it like she did. That's uncomfortable. That feels... Once you get past that and you begin empowering other people, you will see how empowering it is to you. Isn't it always true that when we give, we always get more than we ever give? I mean, when we give it out, we get tenfold back what we're actually giving. Mm-hmm. And so that's the mission. The mission, and you know, I don't mean to preach here, but I've lived enough life that I know that when I was after money, when I was after the numbers hardcore on the spreadsheet, I didn't get anywhere. And I don't know, how much, are we doing okay on time, Michelle?
We're doing great, yeah.
Okay. All right. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to tell you a little bit of my story, of where I've come from, so you understand the life that I have. You know, when you talk about failure, there is life after failure. And you're right. While going through it, it didn't feel like an opportunity. it was miserable. But right out of college, I decided, my father was a wonderful entrepreneur. Did you guys grow up with a vision board on your refrigerator? Because I did. My parents were in Amway for about 10 years. And so when I would come back from California back to Iowa to visit my dad, I would come into this household. I lived with a single mom, so it was a much different environment than coming into a brother, a sister, a mom, and a dad all in a home, and we were all working towards the same goals, showing the plan and selling Amway. So my dad is the epitome of multi-level marketing. I have seen it all. He's been in Melaleuca. He's done the FINL financial products. He's done Amway. He's done, the list goes on and on. But the one thing that I learned from my dad was that you have to keep your eye on the prize, and that's what I've been talking about. Your prize may be different, but my prize is what I can contribute to this world to build people. I'm a people builder. And right out of college, all I wanted to do was emulate my father. Now, he was in MLM, but he also had a traditional appliance service and sales business that he built from the ground up and afforded him the ability. He was well out of Amway by the time he started his brick and mortar business, but retired at age 49. And he did that because he sacrificed everything and he worked his tail off. And my stepmom is an amazing partner to keep him accountable to the financial rigors of running a business. And so the two of them together were able to allow him to retire when he was 49 years old. Now, who doesn't want to emulate that? Who doesn't want to say, I want to be just like him? And my dad, in my home, I was very, very blessed to have a father who said, you can do anything you want. If you believe it, you can achieve it. If you believe it, you can achieve it. And so I lived my whole life knowing that everything was possible. For me, it was a matter of what did I want to do. And just shortly after I graduated college, I ended up starting at a photography studio. And within about a month, I was managing the studio. And I just found a really deep passion for photography. And so I decided that this is going to be a great way for me to be creative and run a business. And about 4.5 years later, I got recruited by a company that was now I'm going to be over a lot of people's heads here because this is back in the day when they had film, like real negatives, and not digital. This is real cameras that stuff came out the back and you sent it off to be developed. So we're a little past that now. And I got recruited by the Color Lab, sales and marketing. And I was there for about 1.5 years, and I said, I was doing consultations. I was running around and walking into a studio, spending 2 weeks with them and helping them make over their studio. I was helping them figure out their sales processes. I was helping them figure out their production, their customer service. If they wanted to sell big prints, we needed to get big prints on the wall, just anything that had to do with helping them rebuild or reinvent their business. And about 2 years in, 1.5 years in, I said, well, they're making a ton of money from my suggestions. Surely I can do this myself. And I walked into a photography convention with a fellow photographer, and I said, I put it out in the universe, and I said, in 5 years, I'm going to own my own studio. And I did. In '99, I had an opportunity. I was at a conference, and a lady says, I'm selling my studio in Minnesota, and it's going to go cheap if it goes this year. So I said, I'm on it. Went home. Long story short, husband said, let's take a road trip to Minnesota, check it out. We did. And less than a year later, I owned the photography studio. Now, you have to understand that this photography studio is an existing business that was failing, and I didn't know it. So lots of naivety, didn't do my homework, ended up about $15,000 in the hole right out of the gate without ever even having a chance to do anything. And my husband and I decided, nope, we're going to stay. We're going to make it a go. It's a great market. I did the market research. I know where I'm at. I can do this. And we opened up another building, and we started. And within 4 years, I was making just a little over $500,000 a year in revenue. It was a fast grow. I was shooting 30 to 40 weddings, 120 seniors a year. And in the photography world, we compare business success by numbers. So numbers of sessions is usually that's our barometer. We're successful if we're shooting 40 weddings a year. So I say that to tell you that those are my goals at that time. My goals were get a lot of sessions, get a lot of people through the door, make a lot of money. And at the time, I was killing myself in the process. I was working 17 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that is not an exaggeration. There were so many times that I was insatiable about overnighters, right? I was the overnighter queen. And going to the next day, and my health was being affected. My relationship, as it turns out, was being affected. I didn't find that out until a little ways after. But everything was a mess. And the one thing my dad said, you can believe it and you can achieve it. Except the part I didn't hear was you have to learn how to manage it. You have to know, and you have to be shooting for the right goals. And you have to size those goals to what's possible with the resources that you have at the time. And so it was probably 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and my husband walks down. We lived above the studio, and my husband walked down and said, "When are you coming to bed?" Now, you're going to have to forgive me because it's been 10 years, and it still hurts. So I'm going to get a little teary, and I want you to know, talk about fear. This story that I'm telling you right now has been on a shelf for 7 years because I was afraid to tell it, because I was afraid to come full circle and come face to face with what really happened, because doing that requires personal responsibility. And for a lot of years after I closed the studio, which I'm getting to, I said, oh, I grew too fast. I was too successful. I couldn't handle it all. And that wasn't the truth. The truth was I didn't manage it properly. And thank goodness my husband came down and said, when are you coming to bed? And I said, just in a few minutes, and in my typical fashion, in a few minutes, honey, I just have a few things to finish up. I'll be up in just a minute. And with a voice that sent chills up my spine, he said, I want my wife back. And it shook my world, literally. And he said, you need to make a choice. It's either me or the studio. I didn't know what to say at the moment, so I just went silent. He went to bed, and the next day, the UPS man shows up with a box that has an order in it that would give me the money I needed to pay the rest of the orders for the rest of the week so we could make it in the black for that week. And I had been on COD, cash only, for about 6 months at this point because the money was not being managed. And I didn't have the money, and the UPS man walked out with that box, and I'm pretty sure he walked out with my dignity and my identity with it. That was the day I said, this ain't working. I have failed. This is it. Despite 5 years of blood, sweat, and tears, never did I think failure was an option, and here I was, staring it straight in the face. And the one call I needed to make was to the man who showed me what success looked like, was to the man who told me what it looked like and taught me how to get there, and I didn't do it. And I called my dad and I said, how do I quit? I've never quit anything in my life. And he said, honey, success doesn't make you and failure doesn't break you. Sometimes the path to the goal changes. Be ready for that. Figure out what your next path is, but don't lose sight of the goal. Keep your eye on the prize. And I hung up the phone and spent the next year in my house as a shut-in, the whole 9 yards, no showers, no going out. I lived in a small town, and too many people were asking questions and accusing me of things that never happened, and it was painful. Fear was what I ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because not only was I failing. Not only had I fallen flat on my face, and I did it to myself, but what on earth, if I'm not a successful photographer, if I'm not the go-getter that I thought I was, what am I now? What am I? And what on earth, this is all I've dreamed of doing. What else can I do? What's possible? And then it required me to get really, really curious and to pick myself up by the bootstraps, know that I am worthy, know that I was made unique, know that I have been blessed with a mantle of gifts that no one else can replicate. Now it was just a matter of reapplying those gifts. Because for me, I remember someone asking me one time saying, you know, gosh, you just must have a passion for photography. And I remember myself hesitating for a minute going, well, no, I mean, I like photography, it's fun, but it's not like I've been doing this my whole life. I saw it as a means to an end. You know, I love photography, but I love people. That's my passion. It isn't photography. And if my passion is people, oh, I can do anything and be in front of people. So the path changed. So did I fail? In that moment, I strategically quit, because when you're on the wrong path and you continue to go down that wrong path, nothing good's going to come from that. Quitting, or I should say not quitting, just for the sake of not quitting, you're never going to get ahead that way. You've got to know when, as much as it is to know what success looks like, you need to know what failure might look like as well. So to be afraid of it, avoid it, imagine that it doesn't exist, put it aside, numb it, just avoid it, it's going to spring up at some point, and you need to be prepared for it. You need to at least recognize what it might look like and have a contingency plan and be ready in your mind to battle those demons that tell you you're not good enough, because you are, but you just walked down the wrong path for a little while. So I think about, this brings me to, you know, I've done a lot of MLM too, but at the end of the day, my choice was, this is not a good fit for me. Did it mean that I failed to build my business? Did it mean that I failed to follow through on what other people thought I should be doing? No. I made a conscious choice for myself and what was feeding me. I lived my own truth through that. And so, again, when you are on the other side of fear, it requires you to be really, really curious. What else do I have in me? Because I'm going to go find it. And I did. And I've now built several businesses since then. My most recent metamorphosis has become a coach, because all too often I have seen in the marketing world, because I was a marketing, and that's how Michelle and I met. I'm a marketing consultant, and I fired myself 4 weeks ago. So again, another strategic quit, because I was doing well, very, very profitable, but it wasn't filling my soul. It wasn't filling me, and I wasn't able to bring what I know that I have in me to the world. And so I'm now coaching, and I'm now speaking, and I have to tell you, I am a reinvented woman, and it is okay to reinvent. It is actually empowering to reinvent. So you've got to get really clear on what your goals are and where you're going and what you want out of life, and not only what you want, but what you're able to contribute and what you want to see in the world. And so I tell you all of that because failure is not, many, many, many great, amazing people failed time and time again before they became successes. So while I don't want you to fail fast, I don't want to try to get failure out of the way, but if it comes or you anticipate it, don't fear it. It's just a part of the process. So I'll let you kind of take over. I don't know where we're at on time. I kind of went off on a tangent there.
I posted on my Facebook walls. I just asked some people, what are some of your fears, your greatest fears? And somebody said fear of public speaking. That was beautiful, by the way, Teresa. Thank you so much for sharing that with us so much. But somebody had said that he has a fear of public speaking. How would you address that?
I think you got to get really clear again of the mission. If you're really committed to the message that you have to share. You know, I know on remember the Brady Bunch? I don't know how many of you watched the Brady Bunch. They said, imagine all your audience members naked. No, don't do that. It's not a good idea. You got to get really clear on the message and what you're bringing to people. And again, I think it has everything to do with envisioning the impact that you have to make, and envisioning the look on their face when they go, wow, I'm so glad he shared that. And that makes me want to change. That makes me want to do things differently. Everybody, from a practical standpoint, everyone in the room, anyone who does any public speaking, when you step on stage, 99.9% of the people in that room want you to succeed. They want you to give a great presentation, and they're there for you, and they're rooting for you. There might be 1.1% that says, what's this guy going to be about? And that isn't about you. That's about them. And even if you took that 1% back in a back room and says, okay, how can I do it differently? What would you want me to do? Tell me how would you accept me, and how would you be okay with me? And he told you, or she told you, and you went back out on stage and you did everything that 0.1% told you to do that would make you better in their eyes, you would still have 99% of the people loving you and that 0.1% not liking you. You can never get over that 0.1%, but it's 0.1%. It's less than a person. Everyone in that room wants you to succeed. So for you who asked that question, what's his name, her name?
Me? Well,
who asked the question?
His name is John.
John, don't let that stop you. You have a message, and the people who are there in your audience are ready and waiting to hear. They're not just ready. They're waiting to hear what you have to say. And if that is in leadership or that's in promoting your product, I want you to get really, really clear on what your product does for the people that you plan to speak to. And then get really, really hungry for the outcome. Forget about the context for just a minute. Just go and share your heart, and don't let that 0.1% rule your ability to share what you have to share with the people that you know the outcome is possible for.
Awesome. And I would also think that if you have a fear of public speaking, it's almost even deeper where, you know, what if they're going to find that, what if they think I'm stupid? Or what if they don't think I can speak clearly? Or, you know, what if they think I'm a fraud? You know? So I think,
and as we talked at the very beginning of the call, all of that is connected to worth.
Yep.
All of that is connected to, will they think I'm enough? And I'm here to tell you, you are enough, John.
Well, I was looking at this document that you had, and it has an awesome, awesome questionnaire on it. And I just wanted to ask you this thing that we're going to be able to give all of our viewers, this awesome gift. This has a test, and it's really interesting because it's kind of like a resilience test, isn't it? And basically, it's 55 questions, and then what it does is it scores you on emotion, impulse, optimism, causal analysis, empathy, and self-efficacy.
Efficacy. Self-efficacy is my favorite word, even though it's hard to pronounce. Self-efficacy is the ability to know you can do it in any circumstance. Whatever it is you're about to go do, you have the confidence and the self-assurance that you can do it. You can get through it. Failure, success, or the journey in between.
So this questionnaire, if they fill this out and they find that they're low in one of these areas, what does that mean? And what do you recommend?
It means they need to call me, and I will give them a 30-minute free consultation.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. That's really
cool. Email me. Email or get a hold of Michelle. We'll make my contact information available. If you're low in one of those areas, and probably more importantly, if it's an area you sense might be holding you back from something, or has made an impact on a decision you've made in the recent past, when you could have done something differently and you kind of wish you had done it instead of not doing it, or you just sense that it's keeping you from something in the future, or it's just an area you want to work on. I mean, really, honestly, a low area simply means that there's more work to be done there, and we all integrate. We all work on becoming whole, and we've got lots of facets that we work on, and when all of those parts are moving in tandem, we are happier and we are more productive and we succeed more often. When we have one of those parts, it's like a wheel in a machine. If we have one of those pulleys or one of those parts of the machine not working, it gets a little kinched up, and sometimes it can stop us, and we just aren't being as successful, or we aren't accomplishing the goals like we know that we can, but we're not really sure what it is. So this really helps get a little more molecular on the different aspects that may be stopping you from success.
Love it. Love it. So you basically have a program that allows you to look at these 7 skills of resilience,
Yep.
and it's basically know thyself. Know thyself. Know yourself. Know what drives you, having a better understanding of yourself, how your mind works. You know, what are some skills that you have? What I like about this questionnaire is it teaches you how to avoid traps. It gives you a map of what your beliefs, your feelings, and your behaviors are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how
Yep.
they're all interconnected.
Yes, absolutely. And the 4-week program that follows, if for anyone who would want to take advantage of that, it really is. I've said it a couple of times, and I can't say it enough. Awareness is the fuel that fuels change. It's like the gas in the tank, and the car can't go anywhere unless you have gas in it. Well, you can't get through those things that stop you unless you're aware of what it is that's stopping you. And it's so simple. I mean, well, duh, right? You've got to be aware of it. But we spend so much time being busy and not taking time to really dig in and go, wait a minute, I'm afraid of that. Why am I afraid of that? Well, let's play it out. Let's play out the scenario. Okay, if this, then this. And in the guide that I sent, I talk about the ABCs. It's about learning the ABCs. It's the adversity, the belief, and the consequences. And getting really intentional in that moment of fear, in that moment of, ooh, there's those adrenaline, there's those butterflies, really analyzing that and stopping for just a second to pay attention to it instead of either shushing it away, numbing it, avoiding it, or boldly stepping in without any kind of cognitive evaluation of it. The ABCs really help you very quickly to dig into that.
Love it. So yeah, I totally agree that knowing yourself, it gives you so much, you know, having your personal insight is the first step to personally impacting your life, so that you will boldly face your fears and adversity in your life. I really think that having personal insight is like the most important thing, and I think there's a lot of us that don't know ourselves. And you know, I think that we know what some of our fears are, but do we truly know ourselves? So Teresa has offered to give us this free gift. Do you want to explain a little bit what this is?
It is an 11-page workbook, basically. It gives you some background on resilience, what resilience is and what resilience isn't. It talks a little bit about the ABCs and some practical exercises to do that. And then, like Michelle said at the end, there's a test of how resilient are you? When you're faced with adversity or a challenge that makes you feel uncomfortable, how do you react? And I want to address what you were just saying, Michelle. Not only can knowing yourself better make you better, but it also helps to moderate the external stimulus that you're getting from other people, and it helps you read it better. It helps change your perspective. So when you hear a family member say, you're not going to make it, you're not going to make it in this business, the MLM is all washed up, you can be objective and say, that's your opinion. It's all good. Thank you for your input, but I got this. And you can move on. And emotionally, you're not hanging on to that. Internally, you're not giving it any credit whatsoever. You're just saying, I know myself. I know where my weak areas are. And when someone triggers that weak area, you can call it out and say, oop, there it is. Not going to go there. I'm not going to buy the lie that I've bought for the last 5, 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years, however long that you've been buying the lies for. So the awareness allows you to put that. It's almost like being your own bodyguard, right? Famous people have bodyguards. We have to be our own bodyguard. We have to, and not a wall. We don't want to put up walls because that's when we shut off what the world has for us in blessings. But we get really intentional of knowing ourselves and knowing when we get triggered and then responding to those triggers instead of reacting to those triggers. And for those of you who are listening, there is a big difference between reacting and responding, and I go into that a little bit in my training after the free download. There's training coming up here at the end of July. We practice reacting versus responding, and there's brain chemicals, high road, low road stuff that we'll go through. That there's an actual process that is associated with reacting versus responding. And if you're interested in a drama-free life, you've got to get the difference. You've got to get that down pat.
Yeah, you said a key word there too, trigger. I think that something could happen and it will trigger that fear in us.
Oh, yeah.
It's like deep inside, you might not even know you have it until somebody says something, and then it's like, oh, okay, and then you react. And I love that because you talk about responding versus reacting,
Yes.
which is really, really important.
Can I give you a quick example of just something that happened to me yesterday? I was at a networking group, and I shared at the onset of this call my biggest trigger, my biggest fear is not being found credible or not being found, that I know what I'm talking about or that I am doing things quote unquote right? Okay. So I'm sitting at this table and I'm launching a networking group, and I had done mass mailing, and I'm the marketing consultant, so I know all about spam laws and I know all about what to do and what not to do. And this lady sat across the table with her arms crossed with this little bit of a body language like, so, how'd you get my name? And in that moment, being aware that my insecurity is being found a fraud, not knowing what I'm doing, I went, and my mind, while I let my mind go there for a second, oh my gosh, she thinks I spammed her, I need to apologize, oh my gosh, I should know better than that, oh, how did I get her name? Oh, and I felt like this beholden kowtow kind of sense in me. I then picked it up, and I'm like, I would never have emailed her or spammed her. My goodness, it was just a question. But then as my response was quiet. My response was contain, let her talk, breathe, give her some time to explain herself. And then as I listened to her talk about a few other things, I identified, this has nothing to do with me. This is her problem. Not problem, but this is her insecurity. There's something, while I wasn't able to identify it, but just not reacting in that moment with an immediate, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know how, I could have, and I probably would have in a previous season of my life, launched into this apology for offending her, right? All these stories went through my head of what she must be thinking of me, and I must be unprofessional to her, and I need to appear professional to her. That's all the mind chatter that's going on. And I just, and I listened, and I was like, well, my response was finally, after she got done talking, was, well, I'm sure we've run into each other at some point. And I came home and I unsubscribed her.
Awesome.
Well, she didn't want to be on the list, so I didn't want to send her instructions how to do it. I just did it because I could tell she didn't want to be on the list. That's fine. That's okay. You're not my audience. That's okay, because my audience is out there. And so that just happened yesterday, but I wanted to give you a real live time how responding and reacting, because or I could have said whatever. D-snap.
I love that. That's what I love about you, Teresa. And I'll be honest, guys, I have a kind of a confession to make. My whole life, I always have been, my dad always used to call me smart, like I was the smart one in the family, right? But yet, there would be times I would act dingy, and all through school, people would say, are you sure you're not blonde? And I'm learning, but you know what I mean when they say that, because I'm acting dingy sometimes. And at the same time, I'm like, listen, I'm really smart. I really am smart. But yet when people would say that, it would trigger something in me that would be like, why am I acting stupid? Do they think I'm stupid? And so for some reason, I had that in the back of my mind that I don't want to appear stupid. And so I remember when I was in the corporate world, I was always like, I was always in sales, and I couldn't wait till I was 30 years old so that people could start taking me seriously, because I always felt like in my 20s, they were not taking me seriously. So then I reached my 30s, and then I was taking myself more seriously. And only until recently have I given myself the permission to be myself. And that is, all you guys know that I like to be goofy. I like to be myself. And I know how smart I am. And I know that, I know who I am now. But guys, I'm 46 years old. It's taken me a long time to kind of work through that. And now if somebody says, are you blonde? Part of me will be like, yeah, part of me would be like, no, why would they ask me that question? Is it because they're trying to find something is it their issue? Or is it, or am I acting like a dingbat? And, is it I don't know. All I know now is if anybody asks me that question, that I'm going to be thinking in my mind, why is it that they're asking me that question? What is it that they think of themselves that makes them ask me that question? You know? Does that make sense?
Almost always the things we project on other people or the things we find to be very critical of other people are all insecurities within ourselves.
Yeah, and we are our own worst critics, aren't we, guys?
Yeah.
We are. We are. So with that said, that was just an amazing, amazing training, Teresa. Thank you
You're
so
very
much.
welcome. I'm so glad to be here.
Did you guys get anything out of this?
Oh, definitely. My son is playing Star Wars behind me. So.
Yeah, Laura typed in the chat, the private chat, I really needed this.
Oh. Well, go through the test, and like I said, to anybody on the call, you can get my contact information. I would be happy to do an initial 30-minute free consultation and just have a quick burning question session. So that's my free offer for each of you today.
And guys, just let me tell you, I've spoken with Teresa on the phone a number of times, and it's like you're talking to your best friend. She is just so easy to speak with. She is so engaging, and she's so insightful, and it's like talking to your best friend. And that's one of the things I love about you, Teresa, is it's so nice to have somebody like you in our circle, our sphere of friendship. So I'm so grateful that you are here in my life and that you were able to be on this training with us.
Ditto. Although our phone conversations have never lasted a half an hour.
No. With that, how do we get access to this awesome document that you're willing to give all of us?
You can go to my website, Teresa Talks, and my name is spelled with an H, so it's THERESA talks.com/fear.
Talks.com. Okay, and then I'll also put that link right below the video, guys, so that you guys, you know, and then also we'll put that in our group too. We'll put the link to that as well. Okay.
That'd be great.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Well, with that, thanks again, Teresa. We appreciate you. We absolutely appreciate you. Thank you so much. Guys, what we have for you is we actually have a presentation that we would like to invite you to watch, but what we've done is we actually have a link for you to watch that at your convenience, okay? And it's right below the video in the leadingwithlearning.com website. So you have access to our training right now on that website. Right below it, there is a button for you to press. It says click here. That is going to teach you more about what the Legends Network is, and is going to explain to you what Val Smith does in regards to a method he uses to explode your business. And we invite you to click on that link and learn more about the Legends Network. And please do that right now if you can. And with that, guys, I want to thank you all for being on our panel. Donna, Jeff, Laura, and of course Teresa. And with that, guys, I want to thank you for being on this training and let you know that you are meant for greatness. And we will chat with you later. Thanks.